when you get your first pet as an adult. Like you're moving out of the house and you think, I'm going to get a dog, I'm going to get a cat, I'm going to get an iguana. I thought that I would just like close my eyes and pick a random topic from my huge list of topic ideas. And then every one that I closed my eyes and landed on, I went, oh God, I need to think about that. I can't just sit and talk about it. It was harder to pick a topic than I thought it would be. But here's one that I landed on today. Um, I want to talk about pets and when you get your first pet as an adult. Like you're moving out of the house and you think, I'm going to get a dog, I'm going to get a cat, I'm going to get an iguana. It's so common to feel like, well, I'm moving out. I'm going to need this, this, and this. You need a bed, a couch, a table, some towels, and a dog. And before you get a dog, or a cat or an iguana or your first pet that's truly your own because you're moving out, you're getting your own place, and you want to have your own pet. Maybe you're bringing one with you from your childhood home. That's a little different. I'm talking about when you get your first place and you think, and now I need a dog. And that's great. I love that for you. But I really want to talk about what that really means in the context of starting your life as starting your life as a young adult and adding another life to that in the form of a pet. I think it's easy to overlook the fact that you'll be making a multi-year commitment to a living thing. But the fact that this living being is going to be 100% dependent upon you for food and shelter and love and attention and the training that goes into raising a puppy specifically. They take a lot of work. And I think it's so easy to think, I see so many young people that just automatically get a pet without thinking that all the way through. Um, what if where you move to isn't where you're gonna stay for very long? What if finances change and you have to move and you're now limited in where you can move because of the pet that you chose? Some dog breeds aren't allowed, some cats aren't allowed, some animals, period, aren't allowed where you might be looking. And I- it it breaks my heart when someone has to give up a pet because they're moving. And I just want to die a little inside and think and say, oh, I wish you'd thought this through beforehand. I wish you'd thought about the next 10 years of your life before you brought a pet into it. I'm all for rescuing animals. I'm all for giving them the love and the shelter that they need. And I know that that is part of why you're bringing an animal into your life. And that's a wonderful thing. But when you're first moving out, honestly, the last thing you need is a dependent. And that's what a pet is. Um, I haven't even talked about the financial part of it. For one thing, when you're moving into a house or an apartment with a pet, there are going to be extra expenses attached to that. You may have an extra pet deposit. Some apartments will have you go through a whole pet registration process, not the registration process you do with the city or whatever if your city has that. But I mean with them specifically, where they'll ask just a ton of questions about your pet and charge you for those questions. Um, and then there's the additional monthly rent. There is pet rent. That's a real thing, and it can be several $100s more just because you have a dog or a cat. Sometimes it's like 25, $50 more, but I've seen it several $100s on top of your normal rent is just rent for your pet. And are you prepared for that financially month after month after month? And then obviously there's food. You've got to keep your pet well fed, and then shots. Do you know how much shots are to get all of the required shots to prevent disease and illness in your pet, to be a good pet owner, and probably required by your apartment complex, and they're going to want to see proof and paperwork? And those have to be done yearly or every few years or semi-yearly, depending on which shots we're talking about, but it's an ongoing expense. Are you prepared for that? Are you financially prepared for that? Or is it going to be a struggle every time those shots are due for you to come up with the money? I just want you to think about it because I think it's so easy to just say, "Oh, I'm gonna get a dog," but not think through all of what that means. Um, and then we haven't even talked about emergencies. What if your dog gets hurt? What if your dog gets sick? What if your dog eats chocolate? What if your cat won't stop throwing up? I mean, animals get hurt and sick. It's they eat something they're not supposed to. They swallow something they didn't mean to. Um, Animals get sick and hurt just like people. And a vet bill is no joke. No joke at all. You can pay several hundred to several $1,000s to a vet depending on what's going on. My daughter has a dog, and a couple of years ago, she ran straight into a pointed object um, that I had laying in the driveway that I shouldn't. Run straight into it and just sliced her chest right open. And I mean, that was several $1,000s. I don't even remember how much it was, but it was expensive, and because it was an emergency and it required an overnight stay, and that's just it is what it is. That wasn't something we could put off. That wasn't something we could shop around for. Um, that was an emergency vet bill, and those will be your most expensive. But I just wanna I love the sentiment of, now I have my new place and I'm all grown up now and I wanna furnish this place the way I've always dreamed of, and now I'm gonna get a cat, or now I'm gonna get a dog. But please, before you do it, just think all the way through. You have your whole life to get a pet. You have your whole life to get settled down somewhere and welcome a family member, a new furry family member into your life. You don't need to rush it. It doesn't have to be right now. Think it all the way through before you do it. It's best for the pet and it's best for you. I hate to see you have to give up a beloved pet because you had to move because your circumstances changed, or you couldn't afford to care for it the way it deserved to be cared for. Young people move out and immediately get a pet, and then it's not cared for the way it should be, and not because of maliciousness or anything like that, just that they didn't realize the full weight and responsibility that that pet was gonna be. They didn't think it all the way through, and I don't want that for you. I want you to take a pet in with knowing exactly what you're getting into and being completely prepared. Pet's gonna be part of your life for, an average of the next 10 years. What about when you wanna travel? Are you taking the animal with you every time? Do you travel a lot for work? Do you like to go out of town with friends, and do you spend weekends away? What's the plan for the animal? Because if they're not coming with you, you've got to make sure they're cared for somehow, and if a family member is willing to do that, great. But they may not always be able to. And now you're talking about paying someone, either taking the animal to a, you know, a daycare, a kennel, or whatever you want to call them, um, or you have someone come into your place and care for your pet, and those are expensive. You're going to spend some money having someone care for your pet, and leaving them alone for days at a time with enough food and water is not really a plan. It works sometimes, but I I urge you not to make that part of your regular plan. I realize sometimes you have to just go and, an emergency comes up and you have to leave town and you've just got to do what you got to do. Um, but yeah, if you travel a lot, if you're away for the weekend a lot, what is the plan for the animal? I mean, sometimes they can go with you. Sometimes that's not practical or possible. And then if you do take them with you, where are you going to stay with a pet with you? Not all hotels are going to let you bring a pet in, and if they do, they may charge you more. So all of those things are factors that you want to consider. Does a pet fit into your lifestyle now? If you look at your typical month right now, financially, can a pet fit into it? I think it's really important to evaluate if a pet can really fit into your life. Wanting one is one thing, but does it really fit right now with your lifestyle? Look at a month in in general. Can you financially provide for that pet throughout the month? Can you provide for that pet if you needed to leave town? Can you take the pet with you? Can you afford to take the pet with you? Can you afford to leave the pet behind? What if this month is when the shots are due? What if this month your pet gets hurt or sick? Can you handle that? Are you prepared to walk the dog, train the cat with the litter box, play with the animals, keep them entertained and loved and make them part of your daily life? Are you prepared for all of that? Because you are taking on a dependent, a average of 10 years of an average of a 10-year lifespan, depending on what kind of pet we're talking about. If you get a turtle, it may outlive you. A bird could also outlive you. But I'm mainly talking about dogs and cats just because those are the most popular. But yeah, think through whatever pet you're thinking of getting and whether it makes sense to get one right now when you are just embarking on your new life and your new adulthood, and whether you want to, I hate to say be burdened with, but whether or not you're ready for that level of commitment and responsibility. And it's going to curb your freedom, it's going to curb your finances, and maybe if you really want a pet in your life right now, but you're not quite ready for the total responsibility of one, volunteer at a pet shelter. Foster animals where you get to have them in your home and care for them for a short time until they find their forever home. That's a great thing to do. Pet sit for your friends. Offer to pet sit for your friends. There are alternatives besides making such a big commitment so early on and then getting in over your head. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to the animal. So, I don't know, that's mom's advice for today. Just please think it through. I love that you want your pets. I love that you're animal lovers. I love that the first thing you thought of when you wanted to move out was, I'm going to get a dog. I love that for you. But I want you to think it all the way through. It is adopting another living being who will be your dependent for an average of the next 10 years. And you will be responsible for its life and its health and its well being, its entertainment, its training, it's everything. Are you prepared for that? And if not, that's okay. Maybe this just isn't the right time yet. Maybe it's too early. Maybe you're not settled yet. Maybe there's a lot of other things to figure out. And having a dependent in the form of a pet, it's just not time for that yet. And that's okay. Anyway, I really feel strongly about this. So I hope I convinced at least one person to hold off, think it all the way through before you make the decision to get a pet of your own as soon as you move out on your own, because it's a big step and it's a big commitment and it's a big responsibility and it's not one to be taken lightly. I know it's fun, it's cute, but it's not always fun and it's not always cute. It's work and it's commitment and it's responsibility and it's another being's life and livelihood and well-being that it's important to consider. It's not just about you and that you want a dog. It's also about the dog's well-being and security and their long-term happiness. That's important too. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox and that's it for today. Until next time, you're amazing, you're smart, you're capable, and I'm proud of you. Always remember to wear clean underwear and eat your veggies. Bye.